Hi, this is Kiana with Sleepy Hollow Studios, and today we are going to be starting on a new project. I am working on a character named Marian. She is a deer, and I am making her for a very good friend of mine. This is what we're going to be making on camera today. We are using a pattern by Fursuit. This is their deer pattern. So I'll just be going through the full process of everything from cutting out the pattern to gluing it up. Yeah, we'll just get right into it. Okay, so yesterday I talked to my commissioner.
Come on, Commissioner.
About what he wanted the head to look like. So we decided, just for the sake of making sure both of them look similar in some way, we went for the Fursuit's deer pattern. This is the pattern here. I went ahead yesterday and printed it out. I print it on scrapbook paper, and I use those like self-laminating sheets just to give it a little bit more like weight. It's a little bit easier to trace it when it's a little bit thicker. If you look at these patterns, some of them have like 1/2 inch on them, some of them have 1 inch on them. So I went ahead and color coded each of them with a little sticker, so it's easier for me to figure out what needs to be cut out of what. As far as the foam goes, I literally just get the foam from Joann's. So I have some 1/2 inch foam here, and I have 1 inch foam here. Now that I've got my pattern, I've got my foam, let us go ahead and start tracing everything. To trace it, I just use whatever marker I have nearby. And then to cut it, I use one of these like long blade box cutters.
That's a knife.
I got one that has like a serrated edge. I do not recommend that. It makes the edges look all, I don't know, nasty. This is easier if the blade is sharp. So make sure you have a sharp blade. Once it dulls out, it won't be as easy to cut. Let's get started. That was super gross. This is the 1/2 inch foam. So I'm gonna gather up all of my 1/2 inch stuff. So this is the bucket head base. We've got eyebrow, straps, nose, ear base, inner eyebrow, top strap, and ear. So I'm just gonna take a regular marker and trace it out. So some of these you'll have to make sure to make marks. So I don't even know if that's in focus, to be honest. Is that better? Some of these have little notches, so you'll want to make sure to trace out the notches or mark out the notches, whatever. And then this one also has notches here to use as registration. And these ones will say cut 2, 1 flipped. So just make sure, again, you're following the instructions on the pattern.
Nice!
Failure.
This is way too dull. I gotta pivot. I ended up using scissors for the 1/2 inch foam because hilariously My blade is not sharp. That being said, for the 1-inch foam, it's a little too thick to be able to use scissors, so I'll be using a turkey carver. If you opt for a turkey carver, please be careful because this thing is way sharper than you would think it is. Do some cleaning up first. So we have migrated into the studio. I have the instructions pulled up on my iPad. The instructions say to use hot glue. I'm not a huge fan of hot glue. I don't think it holds as well. It's also harder to carve through, so we're going to be using barge cement. It is a contact cement. I love this stuff. It is so warm right now that it'll pretty much dry in like 5 minutes and I'll be able to assemble everything fairly quickly. I want to assemble the bucket so that I can line the inside. I haven't actually decided if I'm going to line the inside yet. I need to ask the commissioner if he wants it. And then we're going to assemble some of the pieces separately. For example, I'm going to do the muzzle first and then do some pre-carving on it. Some of these pieces have darts that I'll want to glue up. So basically, we're just gonna carve and assemble and do all that fun stuff. Ooh, I'm not good at nature. I should probably practice that. So the way barge cement works is you're going to brush it on, oh no. We're going to brush it on each side, let it dry a little bit, or let it dry all the way. And then once it's dry, it'll stick together with a permanent bond. When you stick them together, if you're not entirely sure about the placement yet, don't press it down. It's really not gonna fully bond until you press it down all the way. I should also mention, with this stuff, you should wear a respirator or do it outside. I'm doing it in my studio right now. I've got all the windows open. I've got the door open. So we have got that. You can tell the windows are open because the crows are loud as hell. While those are drying, something that I don't personally like about this base is I wish the cheeks were a little like more tapered. So I'm actually going to take these 2 inner cheek pieces and I'm going to mark it out. And I'm just going to like pre-taper that down to, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch. I feel like that'll just give it a slightly sleeker look. So you can see it's just got more of a wedge shape here. I'm touching this glue and it's feeling okay. So I'm just gonna start with the muzzle. What we wanna do is line it up, and once you're fairly happy with it, you're just gonna press down. The pressure is really what's gonna activate the hold. And then with these muzzle pieces, I'm gonna add more glue right to the center so that I can glue those together. With these inner eyebrows, so there's one dart closed. And dart number 2. So we've got our eyebrows. This is the nose bridge. See, the thing that I don't love about that electric carver is it's kind of hard to get them exactly even, so this nose bridge is a tad crooked, but we will deal with that when we start carving it later. So we'll start with this top strap, and we want to line it up with the registration marks. There's our bucket, and then, hilariously, I forgot to glue the sides of the top strap. So now that the bucket head is assembled, let me introduce you to my friend, Ed. So Ed, I believe, is by Monster Makers. Love Monster Makers. They make monster clay, and I love that stuff. But Ed is going to help us be able to carve this without it being all floppy and flimsy. So we will throw the bucket onto Ed. Look at that. It's already so much less floppy and flimsy. At this point, we are just going to start following the instructions. I do actually want to carve these down maybe a little bit more, but we'll do that once we've got it on Ed. Let me just start gluing stuff to this guy's face, huh? Looks like the other halves of the muzzle are now good to go. So while it is not glued to the head, now's a really good time to just start getting everything pre-carved a little bit. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off all of these corners, leaving the flat edges as they are, because that is what is going to eventually get glued onto the base itself. The goal is really just to round it off instead of having it look so blocky. I think while I'm here, I'm also going to carve the lower jaw. So we'll take a marker, mark out the center. What we want to do is make sure that there's a lip. So we're going to end up carving out this middle part. So all of that gone. Goodbye. And we're gonna round out the bottom edge like we did with the muzzle, making sure there's no straight lines except for the line that is going to eventually be glued down to the bucket. So now we've got the upper jaw and the lower jaw. I just realized while I was doing that I forgot to glue the back of the eyebrows. While we wait, actually, we're gonna do even more pre-carving. So there's the nose bridge and the nose. It does feel like the cheeks are ready to be glued on, so we'll flip his head back down. We'll go ahead and line up the registration marks. And apply firm pressure. Cool, so those are our cheeks. Now, I think I am gonna taper these all the way down so that they are flat against the face, which actually the instructions do say to do, so. Smooth this out a little bit. And we will go ahead and get these eyebrows on as well. We're going to be lining it up with this registration mark here. It looks like we can actually get some glue on there for the muzzle as well. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and pre-carve the outer cheeks too, mostly because any pre-carving you can do before you actually put it on the base, it's gonna make it so much easier to get things symmetrical. The queen of making things symmetrical. It's a little bit easier when you can compare them directly rather than trying to like maneuver your head around the head to make sure things are actually symmetrical, so. So there's one. You can kind of see the difference after you've done some pre-carving. We could maybe do the outer eyebrows too. We're looking good. All right, let's get more things glued down, shall we? Making sure to get that center line. Remember, only to apply firm pressure once you're happy with the positioning. Let's get that lower jaw. Look at that, we're already coming together. So I went and pretty much glued up everything else that hadn't already been glued already. Wow, the lighting is really bad now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put down everything the glue has dried on. Gosh, just adding the nose bridge makes such a difference. Very cute. let us go ahead and attach these cheeks. And once again, with firm pressure, once you're happy with the position, we'll go ahead and just press it down as hard as it can. And it looks like I did not put nearly enough glue. Not that you can see what I'm doing. Let's move you up a little bit. So yeah, it looks like I did not put nearly enough glue. We will manage. Okay, now that everything's dry and everything's stuck down, we can do some final shaping. This is the part where you can be kind of picky and kind of detail oriented. It doesn't need to be like the smoothest ever because everything eventually is going to be covered up by fur. But you do want it to be symmetrical, obviously. Having it symmetrical is going to make things so much easier when you get to the actual furring stage. So we're just gonna keep going with our scissors. These eye holes I'm not gonna worry about for now because I have some 3D printed eyes that I'm gonna be installing. But yeah, the 3D printed eyes, that's what I'm trying to say. They're a little bit bigger than what this pattern I think calls for technically. But that's just because I wanted to be able to give her some eyelids so she could have some more expression.
We should get an overhead light over here. And I found your inhaler.
Is it a yellow one or a red one?
Yellow.
That's your mom's, I stole it. Okay, so I got a message from my commissioner and we decided that we want harder ears rather than like flaccid ears. Can I say that on YouTube? I originally cut these out of upholstery foam, but we are going to go ahead and cut it out of EVA foam instead. I should mention these are EVA foam mats. I get them from Uline. I use these when I use the Miss Rars base for her foundation faceplate system. Her base is made of EVA foam. I really like that one. I've gotten these EVA foam mats on Amazon before, but for me, the ones from Amazon were just way too stiff and just like can't hold a curve. The Uline ones for me are the way to go, but instructions for these say to round off the edges of the ears a little bit, and then we'll wrap them around these little nubby ear base things. So they'll curve around like this. So we'll go ahead and round off the edges of the ears. You know what might be easier is a Dremel tool. Hold on. So I like to use a Dremel tool to carve EVA foam. I know a lot of cosplayers do this, and that's how I found out that you could wear a mask. I have no idea where mine is right now, so we're just gonna risk it. Do as I say, not as I do. Is that how that goes? So there's one, and I'll do the other one off camera. So these boys are carved out now. We are now going to follow instructions again. So we're going to glue the ear around the ear base. On EVA foam, I like to do 2 coats of the barge cement. I don't really have a reason for this. I just do. Alright, so we are now going to go ahead and glue these. So there's ear number 1 and ear number 2. I'm just gonna hold these together until they are fully bonded.
3 hours later.
Things with a much bigger curve like this, especially with the EVA foam, they kind of need a little help. Alright, now I'm going to add some glue on the bottom so that we can glue this to the head base. And again, on the EVA foam side, I'm gonna add 2 coats. And now we will put the ears on. This EVA foam, I might need to supplement a little bit with hot glue, to be honest, because it is not wanting to stick. For now though, the base is finished. So this is what we are looking like. All we have left is to get the eyes in to the base, and then we can start furring. But this is what we're looking like. To be honest, the base usually does not take too long. It is the fur that takes forever, but we'll do that in another episode. Hey! This is Kiana with Sleepy Hollow.